Good evening, my brothers and my sisters. I want to welcome you to another edition of Mr. Ray's Real Estate, where we're going to be talking about the subject today is attracting good tenants. Attracting good tenants. It is very, very important that you understand that attracting good tenants is a key it is key to you being successful in this business. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'd be amiss if I didn't say something about what's going on currently in the world today. I am a little bit appalled about some of the things that's happening out there. And so I just want to say this. I support um, my brothers and my sisters protesting. I support what they're doing. I don't support the destruction, but I do think that we have to draw attention to the injustice that's going on with some of our brothers and our sisters out here in our community. So therefore, we stand together. If you're not standing with us, then you're standing against us. That is my public service announcement for the day, and I believe that with my whole heart. So let's go ahead and get this party started, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be abiding by the same rules. Please stay muted through the call and ask your questions in the comments section. And Johnny, who is our he's going to be commentating and also facilitating for us, so he'll be able to answer your questions until we get to the end, and then I can answer any questions you might have. So I want to start off with arrayism. This is near and dear to me because it basically said the question isn't who's going to let me, but the question, who's going to stop me from being a millionaire, right? Right? It's only you and only you can stop you from being a millionaire. So it's not who's going to let me, who's going to stop me from getting out there making these deals and making it happen. It's on me, baby. It's up to me. If it's going to happen, I have to make it happen. So our agenda today, attracting good tenants. So why good tenants versus bad tenants? That's the first subject matter we'll talk about. Then I'll talk to you about what are some of the attributes of a good tenant. And then we'll highlight the differences between a landlord and a slumlord. You do not want to be a slumlord, my brothers and sisters, because you will not survive in this game. Then we'll have some time for a little bit of Q&A. So here's a little funny thing that I saw, and I'll have a few of these throughout our commentary today, but it speaks to this type of slumlord that I'm talking about. And this slumlord says, I don't care about you or what you do, just pay me, right? Just pay me my rent. So a slumlord could care less about you as an individual. They don't care about your kids, what you do for a living, or if you may, in fact, be a serial killer who dines with people for lunch. He just wants his rent on the first of the month. That's all the slumlord wants. So just be aware of that. Don't let that be you, right? Don't you be the slumlord. So let's talk about some of the attributes of a good tenant. What am I looking for, Mr. Ray, when I'm looking for a good tenant? Well, first of all and foremost, I want someone who's going to pay the rent on time, right? Very, very important that you qualify all of your tenants and you make sure that they can afford the rent. Again, my number one rule, they got to make at least 3 times what the rent is. If the rent's $1,000, they got to make at least $3,000 a month. That way they're not spending a significant amount of their money on rent. The second thing is I want tenants, these are good tenants, that are going to require very little of my attention. I have a nuisance factor that I like to factor in. If a tenant is calling me all the time about stuff, about little stuff, I'm not trying to hear that because I've got 20 something other tenants that may have some serious issues. So I'm looking for tenants that are not going to be calling me all the time, bugging me about little stuff that's going on with their property. I'm also looking for tenants going to take care of my property. Therefore, they don't have to be calling me talking about it. For the most part, I'm going to make sure that the property is up and functioning and doing the things that I want it to do for the tenant. See, we have a contract. You provide me my rent on time, you take care of my property. In return, I'll make sure the property is functioning properly, that it's in good shape, right? So we have a contract. The other attribute I want in my tenants. I want them to have intentions of staying a very long time, because what you do not want is a lot of in and out of your property, right? You don't want your property vacant. You don't want a lot of high turnover. So you're looking for tenants, and how I determine whether or not a tenant has intentions of staying long term or not, I look and see how long they stayed at their previous address. If they've been there 6 months, a year or less, then that probably means they're not going to stay in your property very, very long. And then I'm looking for tenants that are going to be my best sales agents. They're going to tell other people about me because I take care of the property. I give them a good property. I give them a rent that's reasonable, that they can afford. And so they're going to be my best sales agents, telling other people that Mr. Ray offers very, very good property. And then most of my tenants that are really good tenants, they usually want to buy my property, which I don't want to sell it to them. So these are the attributes of a good tenant. Okay, so how do you attract good tenants? What's your product? What are you offering tenants that you can attract these good tenants? Well, there are 4 things that you got to be able to provide that's going to allow you to attract good tenants. First of all, you got to have clean property. Secondly, it's safe. It's got to be affordable and functioning. Now, I want to work through all 4 of those because those are critical. Clean, safe, affordable, functioning properties is what you need to have in your real estate portfolio if you're going to be a real estate millionaire, because the people that's paying the bills, the people that's paying you your cash flow, it's very important that they're good tenants and they're taking care of your product and they're paying you on time. Here's another little funny. Oh, don't worry about those roaches. The mice will eat them every time, right? A slumlord will show you a property that is in bad condition and charge you top dollar for broken windows, leaky pipes, bugs, and or just the beginning, right? So they don't worry about stuff like that. They don't care. Just pay that rent, right? That's a slumlord. Don't be that. So let's talk about the first attribute. First attribute, you have to maintain clean properties, okay? Shouldn't be any visible indication of trash, weeds, bicycle stuff laying around your properties. You want to present a very clean property. No trash allowed other than what's allowed by the city, which is not very much, right? Grass should be trimmed, trees should be neat. I mean, the surrounding area of that property, there should be not any chip, paint, shouldn't have leaky faucets, none of that. No unauthorized vehicles sitting on the property, no infestations of rodents, insects of any kind. You must maintain a very clean property if you want to attract very clean tenants. Here's another one. Hey, I take offense to that. I do reinvest in my stock portfolio. Haha, yeah. A slumlord does not reinvest in his or her property. He likes the cash flow, and so if it can serve him best in his own pockets, you can forget about an upgrade in a heating and air system. It'll never happen. Better invest in some heaters or fans for those hot summer days. That's if you with a slumlord. Now, the second attribute that you must have if you're going to attract very, very good tenants is that you have to have a safe property. Now, when I talk about a safe property, you got to have a property that's making sure that you got the water that's running with no leaks anywhere. That's a safe property. Properties that have a minimum of at least 1 smoke detector in that property to make sure that if a smoke goes off, that the residents of that property are aware that there's a fire there. You also got to have properties that are free of tripping obstacles and any functional rail. If you have stairs, you need to make sure that you have rails that people can hold on when they're walking up and down the stairs. All your properties, if you have a safe property, must be free and clear of asbestos, molds, or any of that type of stuff. You can't allow any of that stuff in your property. You see it, you remediate it. You take care of it immediately. If a tenant tells you there's a problem, you get on that immediately. And then you also got to make sure that all the doors, windows, everything is lockable. That's a safe property. You must make sure as a landlord, not a slumlord, that you're taking care of these properties and you're making sure that they're safe properties. Oh, here's another one. I know the rent was advertised for $750 online, but I just went up and when I walked in the door, it's now $1,000. A slumlord, they're very vague and they never give you a straight answer on anything. A good landlord will always be straight up with you, will look you in the eye and describe their practices, procedures, and guidelines to the T, so you know exactly what you're getting when you rent from a real landlord, not a slumlord. Affordable property. Here's the third attribute of being able to attract very, very good tenants. First of all, don't try to be the highest rent in the neighborhood, right? Make your property affordable. If the rents in the neighborhood are running between 800 and 1,000, be somewhere around 900. I mean, if you think you can really get the 1,000, go for it. But make sure the property is affordable. Don't try to just gouge people. All right, stay in the top 20 percentiles of the local rents, and don't be so quick to raise your rents too much too fast. I see people, they come in one year, the landlord raises the rent to $100 the next year. I mean, come on, man. I have a heart. I understand that you got to make money, you got to get your cash flow, but be very, very sensitive to the needs of your good tenants, because a good tenant is not going to stay there if you keep raising the rent just for no reason, right? So just be careful on that. And don't negotiate the rent once it's set, right? If somebody wants to rent your property and rents $1,000, that's what it is. There's no negotiation. So make sure as a good landlord, not a slumlord, that you are providing affordable properties to your tenants. Here's another one. Wait, you called last month. Sorry, I missed that. I'll try again next one, right? So a slumlord is very slow to return your calls. They don't have time to deal with your ceilings that are falling in and the heater that's not working. Just pay your rent and you should be happy that you have a falling roof over your head, right? Funny, but not funny. Don't be a slumlord. And then lastly, and certainly not least, a good tenant is looking for a functional property. And when I say functional, that means all the systems in that house must be functioning properly. All the HVAC systems got to be working. All the electrical systems got to be working. There shouldn't be wires laying around anywhere. There shouldn't be breaker boxes that have issues. All the plumbing should be working, no leaks, none of that. And all the roofing should be functioning properly. Don't offer properties that are not functional for the tenants that are living there. And my deal is, if I wouldn't live there, then I shouldn't let a tenant live there, right? If I'm not willing to live in a property that doesn't have all these systems working, that's not clean, that's not affordable, then I shouldn't be offering it to anybody else. Set your standard, set your brand. People know that you offer safe, reliable, functional, clean properties. That's what you want to be known as. Oh, here's another one. Oh, such a goody two-shoe. Who cares? Right? The moral of the story is don't be a slumlord. There are laws in place to protect tenants, and you can find yourself in a world of trouble. Treat your tenants with respect. They are paying down your mortgage through the proper tenant selection process, and choosing the right tenant and the landlord can be a mutually beneficial relationship, right? Be known for the quality of your rental properties. Man, I went through that because I wanted to allow everybody the opportunity to ask questions. So I think right now, it's about 15 minutes in. It's a good time to just open it up for questions. Who's got some questions? We'll just take these questions live. Anybody got any questions on making sure you got good tenants in your properties?
I have a question, Mr. Ray.
Okay.
Real quick on that. Do you have to budget extra, or do you just use the normal 10% money to cover all of your expenses? Like, for example, extermination if they come out and you have people come spray or whatever each year, all of that kind of stuff? Does that just come out of your normal 10% a month?
Yeah, that's in my maintenance fund. So, you know, I told you to set aside my reserves. That's coming out of that reserves.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
Where I was to check on what's comparable rent or what people are renting. I know you can check to see the status of what is sold for and other information. Is that still something that can be found on a site like Zillow, or where do you?
Yeah. Did you miss the session where we talked about how you set rents and how you determine the price of a property?
No, I remember that portion of it. I just didn't know it to see if what other people's rate. I guess I missed that part.
Yeah, so what you can do, you can call around. If you see some other properties that for rent in that area, I'll call them and act like I'm a prospective tenant and find out what they're charging rents. And so I just get like I said, use Zillow, use all the other things out there that give us information about how much rents are, and just use them. And then again, just try to, you know, I want to be on the high end, but I don't want to be the highest.
Okay, I got it.
Hey, Mr. Ray, you mentioned about going up on rent each year sometimes. Is
Yeah.
there ever a case where you go down for a tenant?
In fact, I just did went down on a tenant. She was impacted by the COVID virus, and her rent was $700 a month. And she called me in tears. She'd been with me for a while, so I'm a sucker for tears. They were crocodile style, so I lowered her rent to $600 for the rest of the year. So there are circumstances, I don't like to do that on the average, but there are sometimes circumstances where the right thing to do is to lower the rent.
Thank you, sir.
Right. I wanted to ask, you ever have a renter who calls you with just like every little thing and want you to do all kinds of things, and how do you handle that?
So I pretty much set them in their place early on. First of all, I'll set the guidelines that my office hours are 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, except for emergency. If you call me outside of that, you won't get a response from me. And so I'll try to tell them, don't call me for every little thing. If it's something that you can repair it, tell me about it, and you can deduct it from the rent if it's reasonable, but let me know ahead of time. But people like that, people that bug you all the time, that's just their nature. And so a lot of times I'll ignore them if they leave. If they just say, hey, a lot of times they'll call me, Mr. Ray, call me back. I have something to ask you. Really? No, you won't get a call back from me on that. If you don't leave a message telling me specifically what you won't hear from me. So yeah, there's bugaboos out there. You just have to make sure that you just keep those at a minimum and just do the best you can, because some people are just buggers.
Okay, I have a question. So if they, they call and they request there's something wrong with the place. There's AC, electric, something's wrong. How much notice do we, or what do you go about if you're sending someone over there? What you just give them an hour or you have to give them a day notice, or can it just
So one thing we're going to do is the next reading that we're going to have is the Oklahoma Landlord Tenant Act. And the Oklahoma Landlord Tenant Act spells out for you how fast that you have to respond to a tenant's request or a maintenance request, depending upon the type of request. Basically, the law in Oklahoma says that you have 3 days to make a repair. If it's of the, heat and air, electrical, things like that. On the other little stuff like that, I don't think the law really addresses that, but you got to make sure the air conditioning, heating, plumbing, things like that, you typically have 3 days to get that repaired.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. What else?
Mr. Ray, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. I want to ask a question. I had a nosy neighbor that kept coming out today when we was working on the job site. He said he was asking questions for the landlord. They were coming through putting a water line. So he was concerned about the sod and some other issues. So I'm just kind of asking you, do you have your tenants speak for you in that sense if they're coming through doing work near your property or something like that, tearing some things out, or do you handle that yourself?
So describe for me again. I kind of missed what was actually going on.
Well, what it was is they were installing a new water main in this man's house. So he came out talking about the landlord wants to know what's going on. He's just renting the property. So he was asking when sod was going to be put down, when they were going to be done, and so on and so forth. So I was just kind of wondering, do you do that with your tenants?
No, my
They got
tenants do not speak for me ever. I am the only one that speaks for me. You can ask my wife that too. She's probably not laughing right now. Yeah, no, but tenants don't speak for me.
That'll work.
I had an experience with a nosy neighbor, and every time we were over there working, I mean, even if you ran in the house and shut the door, he'd come over and want to, talk. But he did call us every time somebody was over there looking. And so, and I think he did prevent the house from being broken into. It was very, very cold when I was trying to rent my house, and it had a sign, so anybody that drove by there and that was looking for a vacant house to break into saw the sign. So I think he did prevent a couple of vagrants that were looking for a place to be, so that it has its pluses and minuses.
I agree, because one of the things that I do with my properties when they are vacant, I do get to know the neighbors around it. I get to know them. I give them my card. I say, hey, if you see anything going on, I might need to know about. Here's my card. Give me a call. So I always make sure that I have at least one person in that surrounding area that I'm familiar with that knows me. They know I'm the landlord, and they're the nosy neighbors. They keep an eye on everything. So they're more than willing to tell you what's going on at your house or in the neighborhood for that matter.
So I hear somebody saying something about spraying for bugs. It's in my contract that if there's bugs, they got to take care of it, because none of my houses had bugs or mice or anything when I rented them. What do you think?
I take care of the bug issue. I think as a landlord. Now, if they cause them, like you said, sometimes, I mean, if it's really, really bad, then they have to go. I mean, number one, if you bring in bugs on my property, like you said, that's actually a point in the lease that can be an issue, and you can probably evict them for that. But I only had one issue where I really had, a really bad roach infestation problem, and it was caused by the tenant, and I had to leave that property vacant for 2 months before I got all those roaches out of there. It was bad. So for me, I have exterminators that I use, and they usually charge me $250. For the whole year. They'll just come back and spray if you see anything. So I usually take care of that, but it's kind of up to you as a landlord.
Is that a 250 for all the properties, or just like for each one?
So that's 250 per property. It's an annual deal, and if I have a problem, and make sure for that year he comes out and takes care of everything for me. And some might say, well, that's a little high, Mr. Ray, but it gives me a comfort. If the tenant calls and says she sees something, I know I got a warranty on that, and I can just send the guy out there. He'll make sure he takes care of it. I haven't had any problems with it, so I'm good with 250. Some others on the phone may have some different prices.
Oh, and they do bed bugs too?
They do everything.
Okay. Do you have them call for inspections on that, or they or like say if you have a tenant move out, Do you
Right.
have to been inspected by them or?
No, I will inspect it, and if I see anything, I'll call them.
Okay. Okay.
What else?
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
hey, quick question.
Yeah.
Hey, how flexible are you with your renters? I had a renter that they were having a boy,
Mm-hmm.
and they wanted to paint the room, blue.
Right.
And at first I was kind of thinking like, I don't really want anyone painting, but then again, I was like, okay, well that's fine. So how flexible are you with letting renters do stuff like upgrading and painting and doing things like that?
Painting, no, because that's what they want to do. They want to paint it pink, blue, yellow, green. I don't need all those colors. Most of my homes, the walls are either white or they're kind of a tannish brown. So no painting of the walls. Now, if they want to upgrade the property and make it prettier, that's fine. You can't take out any doors, any walls, and you cannot paint my property, period. That's just kind of a rule that I've got. Now, if they want to plant flowers outside and they want to make things pretty, they want to replace a ceiling fan. That if I got a functional ceiling fan, they want a nicer one. They want to replace another one. I'm good with that. But painting is a no-no for me. In fact, I have it in my contract. You can't paint my property without my permission.
I agree, Ray. Every wall in every one of my houses is the same color, mushroom. It's kind of the color that's on the wall behind you. It goes with everything. And
my properties are this color right here, exactly.
And yet the same bucket of paint can touch up any wall in any one of my properties.
Absolutely. So that's just a way to do business. It'll save you a lot of time and money if you don't let them paint your property.
And my contract also says you can't put a dish or hang anything on the outside of the house. You can't put a flagpole or a Christmas light. You cannot put anything on the house.
So you don't let them have a direct TV network, any of that stuff?
They can, as long as they don't mount it on the house.
Oh, okay. Where they put it, in the yard?
Yeah, they got to put it on a pole in the yard.
Okay. I haven't had any issues with that, but I have had issues where I got 2 or 3 satellites on the roof because, people moving in and out. So I had to have them come out and take those extra ones off, right?
Right. And, as a home inspector, I would tell anybody buying a house, you cannot mount stuff on your roof. That's bad. No homeowner, let alone a renter, should mount any kind of dish on their roof.
Well, they have to notify you as the owner before they install those. The dish people. They have to have the owners notified. Owners have to be notified before they do that.
Okay. So one question, if they broke a window and they tell you about it, what do you just go ahead and get it fixed and then add that to their rent next month, or what would you?
I will get it fixed for them, and then I'll bill them. I'll send them a note. You got 5 days to pay for this, and if they don't pay it, then there's other because I've had one tenant had the door kicked in, right? Somebody kicked in the door, so it was an emergency situation. I had to go over and get the door fixed, this and that. And the tenant tried to say, well, it's not my fault, not my fault. And it's not my fault either. So I had to fix it, so you got to pay for it.
Okay. What about if that was that, if I don't know if that was a burglary situation, or is that like
No, it wasn't. It was a domestic situation. Now, if it's a burglary situation, that's different.
Okay.
Good questions. A lot of good questions.
I also have a pretty steep fee if they lose their key.
Oh, yeah. I don't like going and carrying keys, letting people in all hours of the night. Yeah, it'll cost you $100 if I got to come and let you in the house.
Hey, Mr. Ray, what if they ask you, can they change the locks?
They can, but they got to give me a key. You cannot change the locks without giving me a key. Because, yeah, you know, girlfriends, boyfriends, and stuff happens. I understand. Sometimes you got to change the locks. But you can't have any locks on that property, either on the gate or on the house, that I don't have a key to.
Okay.
And you might have already gone over this, but I'm drawing a blank. I want to know if you want to just inspect the property, or how much notice do you, or is that going to be something you're going to go over? But anyways, I'm just like, if you want to inspect the property, go in the backyard, go in the house, or whatever the case is. What do you
You got to
feel?
give them 48-hour notice,
Okay.
unless it's an emergency. If
Okay.
the house is flooded, or if it's a fire, or there's some other dangerous situation and you don't have to give notice, you can go rectify the situation. But if you just want to come and inspect the property, you need to give them 48 hours notice.
And do you have to can you do by email, or do you got make a call, or is it
However, your normal contact, the way you contact them, just got to make sure you contact them. And if they don't respond and you gave them the 48 hours, then you have a right to go over to the property, knock on the door, make sure, you know, if they're there and they refuse to let you in the property, at that point, you need to go file for eviction.
Okay.
You
Okay.
keep it. It's over on the side.
Do you typically change locks after a tenant moves out?
Yes, because the tenants could have keys to that property, and you're setting yourself up for liability if they were to get back in that house. Absolutely, change the locks.
I have just a quick question regarding, and I just have a question. I don't know if you've touched on this before, but do you have a time frame or a length of time in which you rent a house to an individual?
What do you mean? I don't understand the question.
So you're on your lease agreement. You'll probably lease it for a year to start. Is there something you continue to do with that individual?
Yeah, every year I have an annual renewal. And that's for me and for them, because my deal is after a year, you know, I may, and say they've been there 3 years and I just renew every 3 years. Maybe, you know, I want to raise the rent and they don't want to stay there. So that's give me an ample opportunity to let them out at that point. All right, we got about 4 more minutes and we're going to be done. So get your questions in now.
Hey, Ray, I just wanted to say a lot of the questions about the notice to enter and all that stuff, that's in the Oklahoma Tenant Act.
Landlord Tenant Act. That's why that's going to be our reading this week. I'm going to send everybody a copy of it. We're going to read it, and I'm going to ask a few questions to make sure you understand. It's very important that you follow those laws to the T, or you will get yourself in trouble in the state of Oklahoma. So those of you all that's on the line that are not in Oklahoma, so whatever jurisdiction you're in, I need you to find a copy of the Landlord Tenant Act and review it. I know I got some people from Indiana, Memphis, some others on here. So your local area, you should be able to get the Landlord Tenant Act. So one last thing before I end here, I wanted to share with you guys on this. Let me get it up here. If I can find it. Well, I can't find it. Anyway, I'll share with you next time. But I just want to let you know I'm not taking on any more free individuals. So everybody from this point on will be paying. You guys are in free and you're getting a full tip. But anybody else that's coming on, In the future, I'll have 3 separate programs. I have a basic program, a pro mentorship program, and a premium program. And so I'll talk about that on Deep Dive Thursday when we get into some more details on that. So with that, I'm coming to an end for today. I want everybody to stay safe out there. We still got the coronavirus going on. Take care of your family and make sure that you're offering quality properties for your good tenants. You guys have a great day. We'll see. I'll be back on Thursday. We're going to deep dive into the property over on Madison. Got some good updates, some good stuff over there, some good numbers that I want to share with you guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ray.
See you.
Thanks.